Rising, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Cleopadra Sophia the Bodhi.
How you
I always forget
doing?
to say Bodhi. It's Bodhi, right?
Yeah, it's Bodhi, but it's fine. Remember, it's a double entendre. You're always going to forget to say it the right way because you're going to say it the way. Yeah, it's a double entendre, so you either way, can be said either way. I've heard it both ways. Obviously, just the psych reference, which you reminded me of a few weeks ago. So, yeah, this is another blind topic. So, buckle up.
It's another what?
It's a blind topic.
Oh
Like we
yes,
didn't
yeah.
free discuss this, so you have no idea what's going on. It's every episode is like, what is going on? It's so much information out there, and it's also so many distractions. So many distractions. So let me just jump right in. First, of course, I made a short video talking about this upcoming Operation Holly Jolly. So I'm just gonna get that out the way because it's just a foundation for the rest of the discussion. So basically, what we're gonna do is to align with certain celestial alignments that's coming up. Specifically, Jupiter is getting ready to go into retrograde, and so when Jupiter goes into retrograde, any planet goes into retrograde, it is closer to you. And as I talked about in my monthly overview for the planetary moon, where we discussed the astrology a little bit, it was evident to me that Jupiter was like a lot of things are like most of the planets actually interacted with Jupiter over this planetary month as a preparation for this retrograde cycle. And so I've been watching this for a while, and so every time there's getting ready to be, well, specifically with Jupiter and Saturn, but specifically with Jupiter, the Jupiter always like interacts with a bunch of like planets just before it goes into retrograde. And so from an esoteric perspective, this is so that it can gather all the information it needs so that it can help you achieve what is necessary during the retrograde cycle. So a lot of people think that when they have retrograde planets in their chart, it's actually bad, but that's not true. If it's retrograde, that means it's close to you. It's monitoring you carefully. And so if you are paying attention to the signs, following your instincts, you're a good person, these things work out for you. It's only if you're not paying attention to your instincts, you're ignoring all the signs, and you're a bad person, that this can potentially wreak havoc in your life. And so most people, astrologers, just interpret the retrogrades as bad. So Jupiter is getting ready to go into retrograde. So as a preparation for that, we're going to do a 6-day social media fast that's going to begin on Friday, which is, I'm looking at my calendar, November the 7th. And it's going to be 6 days. So it's going to go through November the 12th. And then on November the 13th, that's Sabbath. And so Sabbath, as we discussed a few videos ago, is a day that you're usually supposed to, do something to either be in nature or just, devote a little piece of your day to the one who created you. So that's what you do on Sabbath. So that's why I'm not including Sabbath in this particular social media fast. So you'll probably see some videos from me that have been pre-recorded that come out on that day. And so after that, on the 14th of November, which is the first day of our next lunar month as far as the Zokan is concerned, which I think is it's not cosmic. I can't remember which one is next, but it's the next planetary month that we come to after this month is that this moon is actually called the planetary moon. So it's the next moon that we come to. That's going to start on the 14th. Also on the 14th, the Orthodox start our nativity fast. And so To break this down a little bit, typically in the Orthodox Church, when we feast, we fast. So it's really the Nativity feast, but we celebrate the feast with a fast. And later on, I'll break down why that is. But no, I kind of need to talk about it now. So what we're asking people to do now, we were already going to be feasting or fasting because Saturn is coming out of retrograde. So for the last couple months, Saturn has been in retrograde. Okay. And so what we usually do when Saturn comes out of retrograde is we literally basically support Saturn in whatever Saturn has to do when it comes out of the retrograde, because basically Saturn has been collecting all this information from us, our grievances, our problems, our whatever. And so when it goes out of retrograde, it's going to go and do something about it. That's the way that I esoterically interpret it. And so we always do a 22-day Daniel fast with Saturn coming out of retrograde. But this year, we're doing something a little bit different. So on the 14th, like I said, we're going to start our Operation Holly Jolly fast or feast, depending on what it is. And so what I am requesting for people to do, of course, if you want to participate in the operation, there's no sign-up sheets, there's no commitments, there's no anything, just a commitment that you make with the Creator. But what I'm asking people to do, if you have abundant energy assigned to you, if you are a person who is supposed to be an abundant person, and it's evident by your birth chart, or basically you're not black, this is where I am asking for you to commit to a fast on behalf of us, like the people that I bring to, the energy that I bring to the gates, or our brothers and sisters, however you want to describe it, but specifically for us, because well, specifically for me, then let me make it more specific, and my team, because the people who are in abundant energy, right? This is what I was going to describe later, but I'm just describe it now. When you're in abundant energy and you fast, you bring about more abundance. And this is why the feast in the Orthodox Church are celebrated as fast. Because when the church fast or feast together and their feast is as a fast, the universe, the Creator, Jesus, interprets that as, oh, my children are in need. Let me give them something to help them. Okay, my followers, my people, they need me. I need to show up and do something for them. So if you treat the feast as a fast, then you are requesting for intercession to be done on your behalf to increase you. And if you read the stories of the saints, this is what happened every time they did a fast. Even in the Bible, when they did a fast, when Israel did a fast, the king called a fast, right? The people were increased. That's what happened because they were naturally in abundant energy. So when they when they self-sacrificed, the universe showed up to meet the need. Okay, that's how that it works in the physical realm. So those of us who are in um lack, like extreme serious lack energy, and you would know that there's a lot of black people in general, but if you don't know what you're going to eat tonight, if you don't have like money to buy gifts, if you can't at any moment put gas in your car, you're probably on the lack side. Okay, so on the lack side, we are going to be feasting because it says in the Bible, Jesus says, in one of the parables, to whom much is given, even more will be added to him, right? But to whom who has little, even that will be taken away. So when if you're in a lack position and you feast where others are fasting, it's going to be interpreted as, oh, your feast should be bigger. Like you should have more. It should be even greater than what you're doing. Like this is not a feast. Like what are you doing? So it's really like backwards, like nobody has ever talked about it from this perspective. So that is not to say that if you are in a lack physical realm that you don't do feasting. That's I'm about to get to that. So or that if you're in abundant that energy that you don't do feasting. Like it just doesn't work like that. So this is going to go from the 14th of November until the 24th of December, and then on Christmas you do your Christmas stuff, whatever that is. Okay. And so while we were researching this particular like like event, like this operation, we came across some scriptures that were really interesting. And so without going into too much detail about all of that, because maybe we'll get to that later, we have a regularly scheduled fast coming up on February the 2nd, which is in bulk, and that's like Pancake Day. Usually it's Fat Tuesday. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, because the Protestant Christians are always moving their Easter. So but the Orthodox is, we calculate ours the same, but we start our feast on the same day, and our fast on the same day. It starts on February the 2nd, and it goes from February the 2nd until the last day of the astrological year, which is usually around St. Patrick's Day. And so while the females, the feminine ones that are sort of in this weird lack thing, we're going to be fasting for the king. Like that is what we're going to be doing for protection, because based on these scriptures, it's going to be some weird stuff going on. And so we're going to be fasting. And during that time, we are asking those who fasted for us at this time that's coming up to engage in a feast. And so a feast would be whatever it is. Like we can talk about that as we get closer to the date, but that's what that's the flow of the energy. Like, wow. Because I said this before, or I have said this. What people who are in abundant energy consider a fast is a feast to me, because what I would do as a feast would be considered a fast to you. We are way too like far off as far as the energy is concerned. We're just not in this. We're not like in equilibrium. Like your feast and my feast is not the same. Your fast and my fast is not the same. So to kind of bring it closer together, we're going to be doing this opposite thing until such time as it's not necessary. Although I think it's only going to take this one time, to be honest. So that is the operation. Now, what's going to happen after December the 24th? What do I think is going to happen, which is why you guys need to be feasting. In the story of King David, he was basically fighting against his son because of some stuff that happened, which we can get into later. But he was fighting with his son. And so while in the midst of this fighting with his son, because his son was really mad at him, God made a promise to him, and the promise God made to him was for him to do as his heart desired. Okay. And so what happened after that is that Satan came to tempt David and actually caused David to sin. And because David was in this, again, lack sort of behavior, he committed a great sin, and 70,000 people died. And so this is where our feasting is going to, our fasting for on the cross quarter holiday is going to come in and fill the gap, so that you know the king and the people in the empire will not be deceived by Satan when he comes to attempt to lie to you. Basically, the story is really crazy. Like it's like three different gods that all are talking to David as if they're the creator, and David, because he had already committed this sin, was unaware of the fact that he was dealing with three totally different entities. And the only way I could figure that out is when I went into the Hebrew version of the Bible online and was like, wait a minute, That says Yahweh. That says Elohim. Then you got the angel, but it says the angels from Yahweh, but then it said the angels from Elohim. Well, which one is it? And that's when I was like, oh my gosh. He was dealing with multiple gods. Like Yahweh is obviously the deceiver, Allah. And then he had the Elohim, which was the real God. But of course, it was too much going on. Like again, he was very he was weakened because of this whole thing with his son, and like all of the sins and stuff he had committed and all the stuff that was, it was very chaotic. And so looking forward, we're going to need the empire to be in a celebration mode while the females are holding it down with the fasting to cover the spiritual part, because I don't know what's going to happen, but that story was quite frightening just to put into perspective some of this stuff.
Just
So
just to
that's the
clarify,
plan.
you said the Empire is in celebration mode. That's in February. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But for right now, like when we start on the 14th, then you guys will be in, particularly the men, like
Yeah, the
y'all are
fast.
going to be
So
in
this
fasting, right?
fast, I mean, for me though, because I, and it's interesting because years ago, I was all into fasting. I was one of the first, I would say, to get into the intermittent fasting. I was regularly doing 2 3 day fasts, 5 day fasts. The most that
Right.
I ever did was 7 days. And
Ooh,
I even
Lord.
got to a point where I was doing it with no water. It was dry fast. So
Mm. Wow.
I'm very adept with being able to manage hunger. So for me, when you say fast, like that's for me, no food, period. And
Well, I don't think it's necessary. See, I like to be, again, it's got to be replicatable, right? Like I don't ask people to do things that I myself, I know when I do fasting it's totally different. Like I just eat with the sun. So it's obviously pretty hard in February because the days are short. So it is actually a pretty substantial sacrifice, but I'm already, I know what's coming, so I'm already, getting prepared for that. But I mean, you don't have to. I think it's impractical because we are going through the holiday season. So, um,
so I guess
I think
what
it's
would you consider the fast? So basically what you're saying is align it to how you eat in
right,
some way.
exactly. Yes, how whatever is, no, not to what I eat, what you already consume. Like make it reasonable, because a lot of times, like the dry fasting and all that stuff, it's fine if you have a lot of toxins you have to remove. But this is not about toxins.
Yeah.
This is a spiritual
Okay.
fast. So when you do spiritual fast, they go a little bit different. They're not quite the same. Like you could have fasted every year for 1,000 years. This fast going to be different because your energy is tied to my energy, and so it's not going to be the same, which is why I'm saying be reasonable. So like I said, in the Orthodox they do no wine, no oil, no fish, no meat, no, like they do stuff like that. That's reasonable. You want it to be something that people can replicate, and you don't want to put your body under unnecessary stress, because it's not about the actual physical fasting. It's about the spiritual part that's going to go along with it, which is why I'm saying don't make it too difficult, because you have no idea what the spiritual part is going to be. Like when I first did, like the very first fast I did, spiritual fast, because again, I was fasting. Like when you say you were talking about intermittent fasting, I was intermittent fasting when you was talking about it. So
Oh,
I've already been
wow.
through that kind of,
Oh, so
yeah,
you're a
I've been
long
around a
time
long
follower.
time. Yes. So all this stuff, I'm like, I already know you was doing like a bunch of crazy stuff. And I was like, Lord, I'm not sure I can do
No,
that.
yeah, as you know,
But
I was going crazy. Like I was going insane.
yeah, I'll work my
The thing
way
is, I
up
got
to
to a
it.
point
But
where I was fasting and going to the gym on purpose to try to see if it would impact muscle growth.
Jesus.
Because there's a lot of research that says, after a few hours of eating, I think uh, growth hormone goes up. But it was, it's too demanding on the body. Like it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
It's unreasonable. It's unreasonable. This is why I'm like, no, be
So
reasonable.
basically
So
like
like
maintenance
we
mode.
had
Like eat in maintenance
yes.
mode. So what I'm thinking is, at least for myself, is probably drinking like staying with half a gallon of milk a day. That's it. Nothing else. And I do
I
that.
wish you would do protein, a little like meat too, or fish or something, just to get the multiple sort. Because I'm worried about minerals. Like if you, I know there's a lot of stuff in raw milk. I understand, but there's still other minerals you get from actually, and there's things that happen when you don't actually chew every day. So unless you're also like just gonna be chewing on a stick or mastic gum or something like that, like
Yeah, I can
I'm
chew. I mean, the
concerned
thing is
about.
why I didn't bring up protein is because I would say that is like a luxury. And especially like I eat meat every single day, basically almost every single day. Like I feel like
Mm.
that is a luxury.
Well, then maybe fruits or vegetables, like something where you have to
Okay, I could do
actually
fruit.
like,
I could do fruit.
yeah, maybe do
'Cause
fruit like
I
that.
could turn the milk into clabbered milk and have it with, like, berries or some sort of fruit.
Right. Yeah, that makes me feel better. I don't want people to do like nobody warned me. Oh, that was gonna talk about my first spiritual fast. So my first spiritual fast, my very first one, I ate from sundown to sun up, which is absolutely wrong. The guy I was following was really messing people up. You should always eat with the sun. Like if you're going to do like me, I would just say just eat with the sun. Eat whatever you want to eat, but just eat with the sun. The days are getting shorter. That's a very short amount of time to eat. That's how I do my fasting because it's the only thing that makes sense because I'm still of reproductive age. It doesn't make
Yeah, for
sense
sure. I
to
mean, so
to do much
right.
more, but typically that's what I suggest to people. Just eat with the sun, you know what I mean? Eat what you're going to eat, just eat when the sun is up. And that's enough. But anyway, I did mine backwards, right? And so I also started in May. I started on May 18th, May 16th. That was my very first day of my very first spiritual fast. I fasted from May 16th until the summer solstice in 2022. And it was the hardest thing I did. I thought I was going to die on that
Oh,
fast. Then I did another
how
fast
long was it?
in August,
Oh,
40
wow.
some
That's a
days.
lot of days.
Yeah, it was long. No, it was awful. Um
What about with animals? Like, so, I'm especially recently, I've been feeding the birds and the animals a lot. Um, as I'm fasting, like, do I change any strategy in terms of how I, interact with the animals? How I feed the
no, I would continue treating them the
Okay.
same because they're not really. As a matter of fact, they'll probably
Probably
bring you
get
probably all
more.
these animals around you because they're getting ready to like support this whole thing. This is the
Yeah, so
entire
today,
like.
the birds were out. Like, out,
Mhm.
just, like, crazy, and I ran out of some of the food, which is, like, the food that doesn't have, like, no shells, so it leaves no mess, and because I live in
Right,
a community that has HOA, like, they get bent out of shape over feeding
of
the birds, so
course.
I can't leave any evidence. But in the backyard,
Oh my
that's where I
gosh.
can dump as many seeds as possible, and I was seeing there were so many birds in the backyard that I could see them flying from the tree down to the ground to pick up the seeds. The bees also showed up today. Today was actually a big day because the bees didn't show up the last few days, especially because of the rain. So that was interesting.
Oh wow. So they were probably starving.
Yeah, they were definitely hanging out by my porch just when I passed by, it was a very obvious like, "Bro, you gonna feed us? Like, what you doing over there?"
Right. Right. So yeah, everybody is showing up because these operations are never in isolation. Like never. So yeah, if that's reasonable, but I always say be reasonable. Like if you're gonna like don't skip Thanksgiving. Like just it's like
'Cause this is the thing, I go wild, right? I go to the extreme.
I know, but I need you to just be reasonable. That's why I keep saying you have to be tone it down just a little bit, because you want as many like people to be able to do it as possible. And so if you go all out, it's just going to be you by yourself. So that's why I'm
Mm.
saying, like, make it reasonable. Like, that's not what we need. We need volume. We need multiple people to participate, because it's the only, this thing can't move faster if I'm still stuck. Like, this is the only like opportunity we have all year for this specific type of
But
energy
wouldn't me
to
going
show
crazier
up.
increase that?
No, it's we need volume. We need
Mm.
numbers. We need numbers. And the reason why I say that is because in the scripture, it was the reason why David got in trouble. What Satan did was he told David to count the numbers of people he could put into battle. It was very specific. Count the numbers of people. And so his like general Joab was like, this is a bad idea. Like, I don't think this is good. And so David was like, nah, I want to know how many people it is. So they counted everybody except the tribe of Levi and the tribe of Benjamin. And I'm like, here we go again. They always, what is with this, that they're just never counting how many people are in Benjamin's tribe? Like, it's so, the whole thing is so weird. So anyway, and Yahweh, that's what women did. Yahweh want that? Yahweh is the one who wanted that, him to count all the people, but the Elohim did not. The Elohim was mad that, um no, backwards. Yahweh was mad that he counted all the people. The Elohim was not mad as the way that Yahweh was mad. And so Yahweh sent an angel, basically the stupid seer that they had. His name was Gad, which is a tribe of Gad too, but the stupid seer that they had, his name was Gad. Instead of him interceding with this God, right, saying, I don't think that's reasonable. I think that's unreasonable, because believe me, if the creator told me something that was unreasonable, I would be like, nah. And I have done that. Nah, I'm not saying that. Nah, I'm not doing it. No, because you have to give notice. And so as the spiritual people, like, if you don't give notice, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to give notice. That's a requirement. And so instead of Gad interceding for David, Gad was like, okay, this is what Yahweh said. Yahweh said, either I'm gonna send you a pestilence, I'm gonna send you a death angel, or I'm gonna take away your water. Something, no. I'm gonna let the sword come upon you. That's what he said. And David was like, what are you talking about? Like, I apologize, because before this, when he realized what he did was wrong, he apologized. And that made Yahweh even more upset. So he was like, nah, pick one of these three torments. This is what you about to get. And literally, the Yahweh sent the angel. Yahweh said the Elohim sent the angel. This a mess. Like, this is like in the Bible. It's a mess. Yahweh sent the angel. Yahweh said the Elohim sent the angel, but the angel ended up killing 70,000 people before the Elohim stepped in and was like, what is going on here? Like, why is all this blood being shed, and called the angel off? The whole thing is just like, do anybody know what the creator feel like? Like, are people that disconnected from themselves, that lost in their own sin, that they don't know what the creator is like? And the answer is, yeah, a lot of people don't know. So the point of a spiritual fast is for you to get a greater understanding of what the creator is like. It's to draw you closer to, it's not about the food, which is why I don't even connect it to food anymore. It's about making a promise and keeping it
Mm.
to the creator, making your vow to the creator that of what you're going to do, and keeping your vow, which is why I said make it simple. You know, the holiday is coming up, make an exception for the holiday. Like, it's really important to make a vow that is reasonable, because the creator is not asking you to starve yourself. That's what all of those martyrs and the saints, and they didn't understand it. Like there was no need for them to go to such extreme.
Mm.
And if you notice, like look at the story of the Stylites. Like the more extreme they went to, the more wealth they had. Which doesn't even make sense unless you
Wait,
understand
wait.
this
You
whole
said the
theory
more
of
extreme they went, the more they got?
yes. Look at the what was the last Stylite we were looking at? What's his name?
The one with the pillar? No.
Saint
Oh, okay.
Lazarus. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Stylite. That's the
Oh,
Stylites are the
okay.
ones that are on the pillars. Yeah, Saint Lazarus. What had happened? He built him a pillar. He got on the pillar. He had 12 people. He was giving all the stuff away. The monks that were with him were like, we're going to be broke. So they left. So new people came, and he had so much money, he could build a higher pillar and a bigger church. This is what that means. And so every time he said, okay, I want to go to a new pillar, it's because they had enough money to build a new pillar and build a bigger
Mm.
church. So they was, and so he started with those few, disciples that were following him, and then by the time he died, after he had asked for more time and all of that, he had 40 monks following
Wow.
him, like all in little cave holes inside the cave where they built the church inside the cave. Do you know how much money that would cost to build a whole church inside a cave? That's not
Right.
cheap. Nothing about that is cheap. That's what happened. Like when
But
you look
but
at
so
any
but
of the
so but this,
martyrs,
I mean, but this points that this gives evidence to being extreme is good.
yes, but it's not good because look at what happened to
They just
them.
went crazy.
They did.
Mm.
Yes, you don't. It makes you crazy when you go too
Right.
extreme.
Like
It's one
Thecla.
thing to be right, like crazy
Because I
Thecla
have the
throwing her
tendency to
underwear
go
through the group of
like to
yes.
go wild.
Yes, you have Thecla's energy, literally. So you can't go wild. I need you to tune it down so that it's practical for the followers, for your kingdom. Like it cannot be so
Right.
that it's impractical that you run people off. Because I have a tendency to do that too. Like, believe me, I have a tendency to do that. That's why I'm telling you,
So
no, like tune
okay,
it
yeah,
down.
understood. Good, thank you.
Okay.
So with how we promote this, like, because you said numbers is really important. Um,
Well, not numbers as in lots of people, but that there's it doesn't even have to be more than one person. It just has to be it has to be appealing to people. Meaning you can't
okay,
make it
okay,
so that it's
right, 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 right.
unappealing. Like if you say, okay, we're gonna that's why I was like, oh, do meat and milk because people might say, okay, I could get away with that. Like that's reasonable for me. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like meat and dairy. Okay, I could do that. I'm gonna eat cheese, I'm gonna eat meat, or vegetables and dairy, or fruit and dairy. Like if you make it appealing to people, then more people will be, if they can't participate for the whole time, because again, it's not like the Lenten fast, but it's a mini Lenten fast. That's what they call it in the Orthodox Church. So it's a pretty long fast. It's over 30
Yeah, it
days.
is. It's a long. Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 40 days. So it's a pretty long fast. The Lenten fast is actually 47 days. So it's just a little because the Orthodox, they always have to fast a little bit longer than everybody else is doing.
of
So
course.
yeah, it's I just like 47 days. But um so yeah, that's why I'm saying like just make it
You said
approachable.
47 day
And
fast.
no,
Oh,
I'm saying
41,
the Lenten
41.
fast is 47 days. No, actually when
40.
we fast from February. Yeah, it's 40
Okay.
days, which is a Venus.
I think you cut out. I don't hear you if you're talking. Hello? I can't hear you if you're talking. Maybe you got a phone call. You're in listeners now. I'm not sure what's happened.
That is so crazy. I don't even know what happened. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's okay. So there's people who follow me that don't really follow me closely anymore that know on February the 2nd we're going to start our fast. They know on August the 2nd we start our fast. They know because it's regular. It's consistent and I don't change anything. And I always try to tell people make it as easy or as hard as you want to, and don't do what I'm doing, but I'm going to make it as easy as possible on myself while I have the capacity to do that, because at some point I'll be out of the child raising window and then I'll have to make it hard. But as of right now, I'm going to take advantage of being able to make it easy. But again, make it as hard. That's why I talk about it the way that I do, because I want it to be approachable. Most of the time when you hear like fasting, especially in the Orthodox Church, because Lord, we fast a lot. It's almost unapproachable because you're like, what can I eat? And it fluctuates. So it's like on certain days it's no wine and oil. On certain days it's no fish. On certain days it's no meat, fish, wine, or it's very the rules are so they change so much that it makes it hard to follow. So that's why I also try to make it simple. Like I understand why they do it because it's based on a Mediterranean diet, but we don't even follow a Mediterranean diet. So it's not even like this is why when you talk to the priest about it, like they just say do whatever is reasonable. Like just, eat less. Like literally just do less. It's not about completely erasing it, but just literally doing less. Those people who do more, they are fighting, battling serious demons. You're not actually fighting any demons. And the point of this fast is not to fight demons. Let me put it that way. The point of this fast is not to fight demons. You're not fighting demons. That's not what you're fasting for. It's for spiritual equality. For us to come up to the level of your fast. Just can I live at the level of your fast? That would be amazing. Like I'm not even there. So just keep that in mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just different. Of course, privately, like for example, in the Orthodox Church, they fast every Wednesday and every Friday. And they do the wine and oil or whatever. They have a regular fasting schedule, which I do recommend people develop their own regular fasting schedule. Just whatever you do, don't fast on Thursday. Thursday is related to Jupiter. So if you fast with Jupiter, you're gonna even what you have will be taken away from you. So of course the guy had his fasting on Thursday, by the way. But so don't fast on Thursday. But any other day of the week, like if you wanted to, like once you get through most of this, then you'll figure out that yeah, I need a regular like fasting schedule, because again, the whole spiritual aspect of it is totally different. It's a different monster.
Awesome.
Let me close this door. Yeah, the whole okay. So then I was gonna talk about deception, inception. Okay. Oh wait, are we done with the operation? Do we need more details?
So I guess the last part is um how we're going to like market it. Um uh because
Well,
I do want to make, at least from my followers, want to make it as clear and concise, which is what you were saying, as possible, and give people a few weeks notice in terms of like, hey, like I'm gonna do this fast and I'm gonna keep kind of talking about it. I
right.
guess I just have to figure out like me personally what
Yeah,
my diet is actually gonna look like.
right, because it is really fast. One thing I can say is that sometimes with these operations, they're planetary dependent, meaning I hadn't even planned to start working on this until the end of the month, because it's not until Thanksgiving that Saturn goes direct. So this is kind of like a last minute change, and it's always a little more difficult when you have like these last minute changes. So what you could do is you could say, you're going to start early, but the fast really starts the day after Thanksgiving, if that's a
Yeah.
better marketing technique. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because this is kind of, me personally, when I call the fast, and if whatever, I always start early. I usually start a day early. Sometimes I start a week early, but before everyone else. Like, it's just kind of the way that it plays out. So as the in a leadership role, then sometimes you're basically like always going to be starting before everyone else. But like the people, you could tell them start the day after Thanksgiving, and it'll help prepare them for the new year and get their mind right. And you know, I would talk about it from the terms of the emotional, because then if people are not focusing on their eating, they can focus on the joy. Because again, it's called Operation Holly Jolly. We need people to be happy. So you don't
Yeah.
want to take away so much food that it makes you unhappy, but you could take away a little bit so that you could
Even
share
happier.
a little bit with someone. Yeah, exactly. Because again, the scripture, when I find the scripture, I'll send it to you. What the abundant person has been given, more will be added to him. Like always, more will be added to him. So when you take in less, more will be added to you.
Okay, okay,
It's
so
it's
what you said,
guaranteed.
so, what abundant person
For the
sacrifices?
abundant, well, just in general, it's a period. What When the abundant person engages, well, is it a sacrifice? Let me find the scripture. Maybe I should just find the scripture. That would probably help. Um, is this it? Let me see. No, it's not this one. It's about two masters. Um, but how would I put that? Um, for the abundant person, when he makes a spiritual sacrifice, more will be added unto him. But that's not the. I'm sorry. This is going to drive me crazy. I need to actually look it up because I'm not explaining it right. It has to do with the talents. Hold on. And all things will be added unto you. Maybe that's it. Oh, let me see if it's it. Matthew. I meant to look this up, but I got distracted. We talk about the scripture all the time. I'm sorry about not having this ready. Um, let's see. What? Oh, 6:33. Let's see. Okay, let me read this. This is Matthew 6:16. It's talking about how to fast. Moreover, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites with sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces and may appear to men to be fasting. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. But you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your
Mm.
Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. So
Mm.
if you look like you're fasting, like you're like me, I was like, I'm dying, like, oh my gosh, like that's not what I was supposed to do. That was
Mm.
not the correct way to handle it.
So, I mean, in many ways then, like, I talk about it, but then basically don't talk about it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I
you
make it known
because
that it's happening and obviously invite people to
right.
join, but like in the fast itself, I'm not feeding energy to marketing it, basically.
Basically, no,
Because
not
I
really.
keep it
Like,
I keep
except
it
to
with
say,
private with me and God.
right, right. Because you just don't want it because you don't want to be like the hypocrites.
Yeah.
And that's basically, it's not all things. It's things will be added unto you. Will be added unto you. It's always, they keep telling me this is not it. Let me look in the actual Bible. You would think I would know this, but
So what's the issue?
I'm trying to find the scripture.
Oh, so this is like more the explanation of the scripture?
Yeah, no, that wasn't the one that I was looking for. I
Oh,
just happened
okay.
to like turn to that.
That's a
That
good
was
one.
actually
That's
accident.
important because I would have been
Yeah, that was
promoting it. I would
good.
have, obviously, like I would have been in the middle of it, like promoting this fast. But I think that was
Well, I do talk about it now, mind you. I do talk about the fast while I'm when I talk about it, I'm inviting people to join us. I'm always saying because there's another parable that Jesus tells about how a man was hiring laborers and he hired some laborers at 9 in the morning. He needed more laborers, he hired some at noon. He needed more laborers, he hired some at 4 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, he paid everybody the same. And the laborers who came in the morning were really upset because they're like, hey, we've been here all day. Why are we getting paid as the same as the person who got here at 4 o'clock? And so Saint John Chrysostom has a scripture about this as it relates to Pascha, because it's like, if you started fasting at the beginning of Lent, if you waited until the last minute, if you waited until the last hour, it doesn't matter. Everybody is welcome at the
right.
table. So even if in your heart you didn't do it physically, but in your heart you wanted to do it, you're still welcome at the table. If you forgot about it, it's because it's not about excluding
Yeah.
people, right? It's about inclusion. And so I always talk about the fast. I'm like, if you didn't start with us on day one, no problem. Just join in now. Make your like. That's how I talk about it in terms of, hey, it doesn't matter if you missed the first day or the second day or the first week or the first 2 weeks or the first
It's like,
39
oh,
days.
you
You
ate at
fasted
this
for one
time.
day.
You fail.
Yep. Right. No, exactly. But that's what people, again, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, that's exactly what they do.
Mm.
That's exactly what they do. It's really insane. 6 and 21. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. All right, well, I have to find it later. The other scripture was good enough. So basically, you get the most important part of it. But literally, when an abundant person fasts,
It's a wrap.
when an it's over, more will be added unto them, more and more and more and more and more. Especially again, you make your vow. I talked about how to make a vow. You just make your vow, like okay, this is what you're and the fact that you're fasting for the divine feminine to come into their abundance. Like
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, whoa, whoa,
it's a
whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait, okay, so
wait.
fasting. So I'm writing this down.
Oh, okay,
Fasting
sorry.
for the divine
The
feminine.
divine
Mm-hmm.
feminine to come into their abundance. Because when we fast in February, we'll be fasting for the protection of the divine masculine.
Okay.
Because that's going to be really like clarity of mind. And that scripture was really frightening. That's why I'm like, oh no, we already on it. Like we already know
Yeah, because
it's going to be tough.
this is a like when I start promoting the fact that I'm fasting for the divine feminine to come into her abundance, I guess, like that hits. That I know women are gonna read that and they're gonna be like, "Whoa,
Right,
what's going on here?"
right, exactly. And then and you can add the part, and we want the divine feminine to feast. Like that's the other part of it. Like
Oh,
everybody has a role to
okay.
play. So while y'all are fasting, we're going to be
Yeah,
feasting.
yeah, yeah.
And then when we start fasting in February, y'all are going to be feasting. And so we'll talk about what a
Okay, so
feast for the king looks like.
so one part is those that are more on the scarcity side are feasting, but then
Yes.
and or those that are women. Okay.
Yes. Like if you're suffering like bad, then you need to be feasting. You cannot fast at this time because especially with in the context of the Jupiter retrograde, Jupiter, if you're in a lack mindset, right? If you're in a lack like life, like your life is lacking, that means that when Jupiter comes retrograde and he comes close to you, he will see that you're like, because remember we talked about this as far as the mythology is concerned. When Zeus was celebrating, everything was fine. The problems all came when Zeus stopped celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to keep Zeus celebrating. So again, we got to keep Zeus happy. And I have Jupiter in retrograde in my chart. And so this is another reason why all this weird stuff has always happened to me because I have Jupiter retrograde. So Jupiter is close to me all the time. And so if I'm not like living an opulent life, like literally, like I'm a pauper. There's no in between. And I never understood like why that was, but like the more I learn about astrology, the more I understand it's just the nature of the astrology, which is why I have to be like living an opulent lifestyle. Because if I'm not, then I'm going to be a pauper. Like there's no in between. So like when I had a lot of money before, what I should have done is like instead of starting to get scared and worried about stuff, because that took me into a lack mindset and out of the abundant mindset, I should have leaned more to the abundant mindset sooner. I waited until things were out of control to try to fix them. It was too late. So when things started to look out of control, I should have adjusted I should have adjusted what I was doing. And that would have been much better, but I waited too long and everything just spiraled out of control. So I know that like now, and that's a very valuable lesson to have learned, which is why I'm like, no, like if you're in lack, you have to get out of that. Like you have to do. That's why I started doing feasts that I treated like feasts because it was the only way to even get my mind into that like position. Like and even all I was doing, I think for the last feast, which was in the end of May, I think all I did was have like tea every morning and like it wasn't even a lot, but it was taking the time to do something for myself that I didn't ordinarily do and
Mm.
going out of my way to treat myself as if I deserved more, as opposed to just the everyday mundane, especially when you're a mom, all women, but especially if you're a mom, you're running around, you never get a chance to stop. I would think I went to get my nails done, like stuff like that. Like I treated myself nicely. And that was like how I sort of began to trigger that energy within me. Like I think I did my hair, like stuff like that that just on a regular basis I just don't have time to do that. But I made the time to do it on account of the feast.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So I mean, it should be fairly easy for people to understand. Um once they understand the concept. Now, nobody does this. So let me mention something. Like I said, I did the whole ritual for people to separate themselves from these super predators and all these people, right? One thing we noticed, you sent me that video with that young man talking about the church. We realized we should have chose our language a little more carefully. Those preachers that abuse children inside the church are super predators. So we called them out and they got called out immediately. I just wasn't thinking that is what was going to come out, but that is what happened. So I always have to remember to choose my words carefully. Although we want these people to be exposed because they need to. And then the second part of that is a lot of these spiritualists, now I'm seeing they're all doing magic again. They're like, oh, okay, she's doing magic. It's time for us to do magic now. I'm like, are y'all like, is anybody brain working on its own? Like, y'all just wait to see what I'm going to do and what I say is okay. And now all the spiritualists are doing magic again. They had stopped doing magic because I was railing on magic for
Mm.
months. Like, don't do magic. Magic is horrible. Then I turn around. All right, we're going to do some magic. Like, wait a minute.
Don't look over here.
And nobody, exactly, don't look over here. We're just going to do some magic. Like, if you're Christian, you need to go head out the door because this ain't gonna fit with your worldview. But again, and now I seen like 3 or 4 people like, oh yeah, we're gonna do magic. We're doing a group ritual. I'm like, y'all wasn't talking about this for 6 months. Here I am talking about it. Here it is again. So
Yeah,
that's
the
just I just wanted
pastors
to point
getting
those things
called
out.
out. Like that's exactly what you were talking about with the super predators.
That's not what I was thinking though. Not at all.
Because I mean
That's
these
not what I
these
was
like
thinking.
you want to find the super predators, they're in these churches. They're in these like religious centers.
They are, but I just wasn't expecting for that to happen. Like, oh, it's like, okay, it's great. Like, we want these people to be called out, but it's always a little scary when you ask for something. This is why I don't like magic because you can ask for something, but if you don't know what your words mean, you're going to get a result that's not exactly the result you was expecting. So that's just not the result I was expecting.
Mm,
When I was thinking super predators, I was thinking about all these men who just like take advantage of women. But now we're talking about men who take
all.
advantage of
Yeah.
children.
And there
That's
and
another.
and there's
Mm.
a lot of stories recently. Like there was one that I saw about this guy who like killed like his 10-month-old baby or something,
Oh, it's
and before that
terrible.
he actually had like beaten up his younger daughter. So
Oh
these
my
are the super
gosh.
predators that just recently, I think this was yesterday or something, got like I don't know, 50 plus year um
Wow.
whatever, the jail prison time. So this, and then FBI recently, the last few weeks, has been catching all these child trafficking rings all throughout
Right.
the different
Mm-hmm.
states. So it's always very interesting to see how the moves that we're making, but specifically in this case, obviously your moves that you're making, be shown so potently and be shown with so much authority. Like this is really authority. This is not just like a, oh, I'm just throwing darts on the board. No, you keep hitting it. Like you keep hitting the target.
I
Ain't
mean,
nobody out here hitting no target.
I don't know what that's like. Again, all I'm doing is interpreting and following and looking and reading and studying. Like I would love to take credit for it, but I really don't even know like how these things come together, except that um when they do come together, they're exactly right. When they don't come together, it's because somebody interfered with the plan that was supposed to happen. And in researching this whole story of, because you mentioned it in our last talk, we were talking about the people who are coming out of Egypt. So I was like, okay, well, I need to look at what happened, right? Like what actually happened when the people came out of Egypt. And that's how I ended up on this whole story with David and these different gods basically like messing with him. It came from looking into that story because I was really trying to figure out what how did the people go from like cleansing out the bad apples among them that came from Egypt, right, that died in the wilderness, to crossing the river, going into Jericho, taking over the city and taking the gold to fill their treasury, because that's what they did. The reason why they ransacked Jericho was to build their treasury. Because I have been asking, okay, if I'm the banker, I have to have a
Oh,
fund. I have to have a fund. So where is it? Okay, so I should have mentioned, like, I'm always asking lots of questions, but I keep asking, like, who's gonna fund this? Like, I need the deposit, because you can't be a banker without an initial deposit. Because I said that in the last talk too. All of these people, they didn't start with nothing. They had an initial deposit from something. So I kept asking, if I'm the banker, where's my bank? Where's my kitty? Like, you have to, if you're a cashier anywhere, if you're a cashier, you start with a bank of $100, some one, some five, some 10. You know what I mean? You start with a bank. Where's the bank to start with? That's why I keep asking, because I can't do what I need to do without a bank to start with. Like this, it just doesn't work like that. So that's what happened. The children of Israel, they ransacked Jericho to build their bank. All the money went to the treasury. And so what happened was, again, this is where the whole problem with Yahweh versus the Elohim, Yahweh had told them, don't take anything out of Jericho. And so what happened was, one person took somebody's robe or something out of Jericho. And so when they went to the next city, which weirdly is called AI, they went to a city called AI. And I swear to goodness, you can't make this stuff up. Like, they went to a city called AI. And so they had sent spies out, just like they did with Jericho. And based on what the spies said, instead of sending all their people, they only sent a few people. Now, this goes into another problem. When you do something, you want to do it with maximum energy, maximum effort, maximum passion. But that's not what happened. What happened was they did it half-assed, and so they got defeated. Their little people, like 36 people died. It was some crazy. So they got defeated. And so they came back, and Yahweh, again, because Joshua, in this case, we're talking about Joshua, he didn't know the difference between Yahweh and the Elohim. So Yahweh told Joshua that the reason why they failed was because somebody took something from Jericho. Well, they looked around and they found that a guy had taken a robe. So the Elohim told Joshua to burn the guy. But instead of burning him, they stoned him. And then they burned him. But that's not what the Elohim said. The Elohim said to just burn him, because it could have been a situation like, the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which one of those is actually Daniel, Belshazzar, that's Daniel. He was in there too. It could have been like that, where they went into the fiery furnace, but they still lived. But because they stoned him first, he didn't live. And they didn't just stone him, they stoned his whole family. Disproportionate. One person stole one thing, so you killed their whole bloodline forever?
Yeah, that's
No, that's
wild.
not how it's disproportionate. So that's because Joshua couldn't tell the difference. So that's why I know, coming up in February, it's going to be some options for you to choose from, and you're going to have to be able to choose the right one. And not just you, but all of the people who are in the abundant energy now. There's going to be a choice point come February, and we want you guys to make the right choice. So we're going to be fasting, because it's a spiritual choice, choosing between the devil and this entity that you don't even know who this guy is, but it's the creator or whoever. Like, whatever the choices are, you're going to have to be able to make the choice. It's going to be a physical choice. So we will be fasting at that time, so that y'all will be able to make this physical choice. But again, we're one step ahead now. This gets infinitely easier the more steps ahead you get.
Mm.
And now we're one step ahead,
And
which
and so
I can't emphasize that.
so you were saying about who's gonna fund the banker?
Yes. That's what I was asking. So when the people went into Jericho, they were only allowed to take the gold and the silver and the bronze for the treasury. They couldn't take anything else from Jericho.
Mm.
That's it. And they built their treasury. So that's what we need. We need our treasury. Like, and this is the process they've indicated for us to be able to do that, because I kept asking the question. I'm the banker. I need a bank. I need a bank. I need I've got bonds. I've got all of that. That's not what I need cash, because if I'm going to be serving people, you have to have cash to make change, to make whatever. Like this is literal in the sense of there has to be money exchange. Like you can't do everything you need to do for free. Number one. Number two, I have to be in abundant energy, which means I have to have cash in
Yep.
the bank. Like there's no other way to get around that. Like I can't move forward until there's cash in a bank account, where if I need something to eat, I'm not like calling around trying to find $15 to go get something to eat. Like that's unacceptable for a person who's supposed to be in my stature. So we have
Mm.
to even that out, and so by me getting into an energy like the feast and attracting more of that in, then it will like you can't attract it for me. So this is another thing that I realized. Nobody can do it for me. I
Mm.
have to do it myself. Like I can't
Yeah,
expect for
right.
somebody to come
Right.
in and give me the bank.
Mm.
I'm the banker. I have to call it in. I'm supposed to be
Mm.
putting out your pay, putting out our other friends' pay. Like I'm supposed to be putting that out. That's what the banker does. The banker settles the debts. I can't expect for the king to settle the debts of the banker. I can't expect the priest to settle the debts of the banker. It's not how it works. The banker has to settle their own debts, which means they have to pull funds in. They have to be able to do that. And I have to know how to do that. There's no getting around that. So this is part of the process. I noticed that when we did the feast in because this is the first year we've ever done a feast where we treated it like a feast. And we did it in May. When we did that feast in May, I noticed things did get easier for me because I told you I didn't work all summer, but I had enough money to pay rent and I had food and all this stuff, and I could go back and forth. And it wasn't really like there were some like difficult moments, but it wasn't like horrible like it is like or like it's getting to be now. Like it's like devolving out of like things that I can handle to being in a position where I can't handle it. So it's like something has to change because why is it even like this? Like, how did this even happen that these things have all just fallen apart? And I know it's just the deceiver running a game on me trying to get me to make the wrong decision. But see,
Mm.
I'm too much in my Bible, and because the Bible is the game plan of the deceiver. If you want to know what the deceiver is going to do, find a Bible scripture about it. It's going to tell you their whole game plan. They don't they actually don't leave out of this book. Every plan they make is in this book. They cannot do anything. They're bound by this book. They cannot do anything that's not in this book. So the more you know the Bible, the easier it is for you to determine what the deceiver is doing, because he's taking his orders from this Bible. He's putting you, like for example, I wasn't thinking they were going to put you in a King David type of situation, which is a whole lot of stuff. Like that, I don't want you to be in no King David type of situation. That's really not healthy for any normal person. So I don't know what this is going to be, except I know your chart a little bit. So probably got to do with some raggedy big bitch hoes. I don't know. Like
What? What?
I don't
Wait,
know, big
what?
booty hoes and raggedy. I don't know, because remember King David, he killed somebody.
To get
He
yeah,
desired
to
a
get the
woman
wife.
to get the woman. Yeah, but he already had 7 wives. That was the eighth
Mm.
wife. And when she had children, just like with Jacob, she loved that child more than the other kids. That's why David's son, Absalom, is the one who was mad at David, because and Absalom was very handsome, he was very charismatic, and he was mad at his father because his half sister Tamar was raped and David didn't do anything about it. So the reason why his son Absalom could take half of Israel and go away from David is because he went around and gathered all the people who David had wronged. and was like, yeah, we're gonna go up against David. I know he's my father, but he wronged you. Just look at what he did to me, and I'm his son. You know what I mean? And so that whole thing turned into
And this is the
David.
son of the eighth wife.
No, Absalom was the son of his first wife or second wife, I think.
Okay.
But
So
he
okay, so he
loved
was
the.
mad.
He was gonna go ahead. Let me so
So
I can correct you.
Absalom,
Go ahead.
Absalom.
Yeah, Absalom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So how does he connect with the kid of the eighth wife?
Oh, so David has selected the son of the eighth wife to be his heir. Skipped all the other
Oh.
kids and was like, nah, this one's gonna be my heir. Wait a second.
Hmm.
That's not how it works. Like, that's not how it works. That's why I said this is very much like Jacob with Rachel, because Joseph was the um Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob. And but he was the first son of Rachel. So all the other maidservants, everybody else had kids. Then Rachel had her son. And Jacob loved Joseph more than anybody. That's why he gave Joseph on his 17th birthday that coat of many colors. And the same day, at 17, when Joseph got the coat of many colors, that's when his brothers sold him into slavery. They were so jealous.
Wow.
They sold him into slavery. Yeah, the Bible is not like the Old Testament is insane. It is dramatic. You talk about we don't even need like TV dramas. Everybody just need to open their Bibles up and read the Old Testament. You'll be like, what happened? Oh nah, that's messed up.
So with the you mentioned the big booty hoes. How what role are they playing in
Well,
this situation? Like
I don't
what's
know exactly because I'm still doing the research, but based on your reading, I'm a little concerned that it's going to be like one of these weird women is going to present you an opportunity that's not the right choice to make.
Yeah, the thing is
Or
I feel
like
it. I feel it, which is what's
yeah.
crazy.
Okay. All right. Wow, that's amazing. All right. So now you've been warned. But again, the difference is this time than other times is that we are going to be specifically putting a hedge of protection around you. So whatever they try, it's not going to work. Like the reason why like all of these kings failed, there's a few kings who were successful. The kings who were successful went to the women and they said, what do you think we should do? And the
Mm,
women would advise them. The ones who were unsuccessful, they didn't go to the women.
right.
So that's the difference between you. You have the women very close, and we're like, nah, we don't like that. Or yeah, we got to do this and it's got to be done now. And a lot of times we're just going to handle it. Because we're used to fighting these things like these little entities, they be funny. Like, okay, put your clothes on. You know, we're not even gonna have a conversation until you're dressed. How about that? So come back when you're dressed. Like, I'll just wake myself up. Oh, that's another thing. If people are having dreams that they don't like, that are like weird, they're going in weird directions, start listening to your breathing. Listening to your breathing is how you wake yourself up. You can wake yourself up every time you start listening to your breathing. So you have to train yourself to, like, if you're in a dream, just and they're being weird, start listening to yourself breathe and you'll wake up. That might be important for somebody.
Yeah, the breathing, I've always been very aware of my breathing and making sure that the longer cycles, very calm, very rested. But how you put it in terms of taking it to the next level and understanding that it's all about the breath, it's all about the breathing. And as you have been talking more about the breathing in particular, I start to see in terms of specifically when I'm alchemizing energy, like when I'm
Mm-hmm.
experiencing a lot of energy, and usually this means I'm experiencing energy that when there's a lot of energy that I'm experiencing, it's very easy for it to slip up and either
Mm-hmm.
stay low vibrational or begin to move in that direction. But what I've
Right.
noticed is in those times where I'm alchemizing the energy and I'm focused, it's really just the breathing. Like eventually, obviously, initially, there's a lot of mental work that one is doing to move from, let's say, jealousy to love. But as
Right.
one continues moving forward, it moves away from the mental to the breathing.
Yep.
So if one is experiencing a lot of energy, it's just breathing. Just focus on the breathing. Go calm, because it's very difficult to be low vibrational and be breathing well. Like it's
You
very
can't.
it's
You
yeah,
literally
right.
can't. Like you have to like try hard. And something else I want to mention about the breathing is that make sure you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that whole mewing thing that you talk about, you naturally do that when you breathe in through your nose. Your tongue naturally goes to the top of your mouth when you breathe in through your nose. It naturally does it. And so that's another benefit of breathing properly.
Yes.
Is that mewing? Is that what it's called?
Yep,
Like when
yep.
you put your tongue on?
Mewing.
Yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
the key with mewing is making sure the back third, because when I began, before I learned about mewing, I had my tongue on the roof of the mouth, but it was just like the tip of the tongue. Now,
Oh,
with
yeah.
mewing, because essentially, I think at least energetically, what is happening with mewing is the tongue is the bridge between,
Mm-hmm.
at least on in the Taoist text, the microcosmic orbit. So it connects like the spine, the backside of the like the sternum up the spine to the head, and then in order to go down to like down the head, down the neck to eventually end up in the stomach area, it goes through the tongue. So the
Mm.
more the tongue is up on the roof of the mouth, the more energy is able to flow and circulate throughout the day, throughout just as we move around. If we are mouth breathing, if we're not having the tongue on the roof of the mouth, then the energy is disrupted. The energy is not able to flow as easily as it should be, and as a result, it gets stuck in the head.
Mm.
I think a lot of people that are very mental, that are very stuck in their head, I think a way to support that would be to, as you said, breathe and get very focused on making sure the tongue is as high up on the roof of the mouth, allowing that energy in
Right.
the head to start flowing down.
That makes sense. Because there's a chakra that's like basically at the back of your throat called the Lalana chakra. And basically it's not your throat chakra, but it's kind of like almost like the controller of the throat. Like literally maybe like the breath chakra. That now that you've described it like that, that might be the same thing. And it's just basically it it helps you to speak, but it also helps you to um be able to interpret the things that are like going on around you too. So maybe that's also a part of it. Cause I mean I hadn't thought about that, but it seems like it might be,
Yeah, for
which would
sure.
be fantastically interesting.
Okay, let's see. I'm still interested, but I guess we could talk about it next time in terms of like the ransacking of Jericho and really, um,
We
how
are
do
gonna
we
have to.
fund
Well,
the banker? Like, what is our
okay,
strategy to fund you?
okay. So that's actually the deception inception.
Okay.
That's literally what the first part of this thing is. So what happened was, let's go into more details about that story. They had left. Okay, Moses died. They buried Moses. Okay, then they had to cross the river in order to get to the promised land, okay, the land flowing with milk and honey. And so the Levites were carrying the Ark of the Covenant. The land turned dry and they walked across the river. In Joshua, this is in the book of Joshua, it describes in detail how the water was dried up, which I thought was interesting because in the story of Moses, when they crossed the Red Sea, it doesn't really talk about exactly how it was done. But in the story of them crossing this river, which I think is the Jericho River. Um, I don't know. When they cross this river, it talks specifically about how the water was bound up because of something fell and something else happened, and they were able to cross the river on dry land. So I thought that was really interesting. And so part of this is when we, in a literal sense, they crossed from a place where there was laws to a lawless place. And that's the reason why it's quote unquote flowing with milk and honey, because it wasn't bound by the same laws as where they come from, which was in Egypt, and then they went through the desert. So I talk about how there's four corners of the earth, and on the scale, when I get to that, I'll point it out. But the one of the sides of the four corners is it's the 82nd what is it, meridian, which goes up and down. No, yeah, meridians. It's the 82nd meridian east and the 82nd meridian west, and the top parts are 71st meridian or parallel north and 71st parallel south. So everything within that is considered the four corners of the earth, which includes all of South America, basically America, over to like basically where I am in Jacksonville is like the 82nd meridian. So everything to the east of Jacksonville, which includes all of like north, um, the north, like Maine, Massachusetts, and all of that. All of Europe, not all of Europe, Europe all the way over to probably just before Moscow, or somewhere in those Eastern European countries, and all of Africa. And so when they cross whatever river this is that they cross, when they cross it, they pick up um obviously some of the gods that were in the land. So when you're dealing with, so basically what that part means is that when we go into the new level, there's going to be new devils, they say it, but there's also going to be new gods. So you'll be picking up new pantheons. Like I said like a million times, I've worked with like probably 30 like totally different pantheons since I started doing my research, because every time I crossed another parallel or whatever, I went into another dimension, and that dimension has its own rules. And so you have to know who's in charge in what dimension. That's why I did the scales, because the scales will tell you who's in charge in what dimension. Like if a entity is trying to deal with you and that's not the dimension they're in charge of, they shouldn't be trying to be bothered to be messing with you. Some of them have like rulership in multiple dimensions, but as the scales increase, the amount of things that they rule gets smaller. So when they crossed and started going towards Jericho, they picked up these new gods, right? And these new entities and all this stuff came upon the people. And so part of the problem that they had from there is that nobody knew how to deal with these foreign gods. So if a foreign god comes to you and you don't know that that's a foreign, like you're not real secure in your relationship with the creator, a foreign god could come to you and you could think that the creator told you to do something, but that wasn't a creator. So the way that we interpret this based on what's in the Bible is, if an entity comes to you and basically wants you to commit something that includes suffering. Like if suffering of any kind is like in their request, that's not a positively oriented entity. That's a deceiver. And so they need to be ignored. Like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't consent. Like that's, you can, those are like terms you can use. No. And if you don't like no, hell no. Like you have to just say no. Like that's what Cat Williams said. You have to tell Diddy no. Like then these people just wouldn't tell him no. So you have to tell these deceivers, you just have to tell them no. I'm not doing that. I don't care what you say. You do it. Then if you're the one who's in charge, you're the creator of all things,
Yeah,
you
period.
do it, because period. You do it. Like I've done that. Look, you do it then. I'm not
Yeah,
doing that.
right.
because I'm
Well,
not
and
going to be
that's the
held
thing is,
responsible
and
for
it's
that.
funny because I've met a lot of people in my life that be out here trying to convince me to do the shit, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, dumbass, why don't you do it? Why are you trying to
Exactly.
convince me to stick my neck out for something that I don't even care about? But you're like, what are you doing about it? It's the same
Exactly.
type of energy, the same type of vibe that it's like, get out, like leave me alone. Leave me alone. Like,
Right. But a lot of people, because these gods come like to them in dreams, they come to them through channeling and all this different stuff. They believe that that's the creator. So let me just point something else out. The creator is subtle. He deals in subtlety. Like it was very subtle
mm,
how we came across this information. It wasn't like big and flashy and a shining light. It was like it always almost always comes in asking a question. The creator asks questions. He
mm.
questions us. So if you get a question, this is why I never ignore any of my questions. I'm like, I'm gonna go find the answer to this. Um, if you get a question in your mind, that's the creator trying to spark you into an action. The deceiver never asks questions. They're commands. Like in my dream, Trump, Trump, we want Trump. I was like, okay, where the money at? No, 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 you got to do it first. Mm-mm. I don't function like that. So I said no.
Yeah, alright.
I don't function like that. So I said no. So, okay, moving on with the story. So now we know they got these weird gods coming around. They're getting ready to go into Jericho. Okay, so now, as I mentioned, I do believe Jericho was inhabited by the tribe of Benjamin. But the tribe of Benjamin are prophetic dreamers, just like Joseph. Joseph was a dreamer. So the people in the tribe of Benjamin, they get dreams. Like they get messages from the creator. Like you talk about God, that's what I would expect from someone from the tribe of Benjamin. And so 9 times out of 10, they got the word that, hey, these people are gonna come, they're gonna, they're going to take over your land, but all you got to do, leave for a few weeks, go on, go on Jubilee, because what's never explained in this story is that they've been celebrating the Jubilee since Adam. So if you knew the ways of Adam, you would just keep doing them. So more than likely, the people, like the regular people who were in Jericho, weren't there. They were on Jubilee somewhere, which in a regular year is 3 months. But then um 40 every 50 years, it starts on year 49, I think, but it's a 3-year process because you have a year to get to where you're going, you stay there for a year, and you have a year to come back. So it's a 3, the last one is a big one. But every 7 years, they have one every year, they have one every 7th year, and then they have one every 49th year. That's the 3-year one. The 7-year one is a year, so it's like 3 months to get where you're going, stay there 6 months, and then 3 months you come back. That's how they did the Jubilees. So 9 times out of 10, they weren't there because they were on Jubilee. I haven't started dating these things, but I can date them because the Zolkin, it makes it possible to figure out what the energy is. So, Rahab was probably the only one, like really like the only one who was from the tribe of Benjamin who was still there because she had her business there. And so Rahab, she had they call her a harlot, but she had hotel rooms inside of the walls of the gates of Jericho. So mind you, when they were coming to knock down the walls, they was knocking down her business. Like she was going to be out of business. So obviously she had a dream about this. And she did. If you read the account, she says that she had a dream about it, and when they showed up, she said she already knew they were coming to take the land, and what she knew what she was going to do to help. And so what she did is she took her red string, which is a pendulum, and she hung it out the window. And when they saw it out the window, they knew they could come. They did the whole battle of walking around the walls. Before they went into the battle, Joshua told them, the Lord said we could take all the gold, all the silver, and all the bronze and put it in the treasury, not keep it personally, to put it in the treasury, right? And don't take anything else, because these were these people's stuff. Like whoever was, especially if it was like one of the 49-year jubilees, it could have been people in Jericho that weren't supposed to be there at all. Like they didn't even live there, because imagine you walk into a town where everybody is gone. You wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the people don't come back. You're just like, oh, they must have just abandoned it. And you just start living in their houses. That's what they did in America. That's probably what happened in Jericho. So they just knocked the walls of Jericho down, because the tribe of Benjamin is also known for building enclosures around their cities. Like it's pretty like well documented, that is. So they knocked the wall down, like they ran those people out of there, and all they took was the gold, the silver, and the bronze. That's why they told them, don't take any of the stuff. That was people's stuff. Like not those people who were there, but the people who actually live there, who own the property. That was their stuff. So that's why they told them not to take any of the stuff. So they took all the gold, all the silver, and all the whatever, the valuable stuff, and they added to their treasury, and they kept moving along. So in that story, when I read it, I was like, okay, so the way that you get the bake is through war. Basically, you go to a war, and at the end of the war, the winner gets the spoils. That's pretty like regular like talk. And so remember, you know what they always say, all wars are bankers' wars. And now we know why. Because in order to get the bank, you have to go to war. There's really just no other way around it. So people are always complaining about these wars and all this stuff. It's like, if it's a legitimate war, that's because the person is wicked. I don't see what the problem is. Like, we can't get involved in this oh no wars thing, because sometimes people do need war. Like, some people are so wicked they need the battle. That's actually like necessary. I do believe that's why Trump changed it from the Department of Defense to Department of War, because literally you have to wage war on some of these people. Like, there's just no getting around it. And so that's what we're doing with this Operation Holly Jolly. This is a war. This is a spiritual war. Now, you guys are not newbies to spiritual war, but you're newbies to this kind of spiritual war. It's not, you're 9 times out of 10, you're not even going to notice it. It's more so like on the spiritual side where you'll see all of the crazy stuff happening, but y'all probably won't see it at all. It'll just be craziness all around us. But it's going to be like, wow, these people have lost their minds. And you just, continue to move on. But we need the war. We have to fight the spiritual war against these people in order to get the bank. So that's how we get the bank for the banker. We have to fight the war. But we're not fighting the war with a battering ram, just like the Israelites didn't fight the war with a battering ram. They fought the war with breathing. They walked around they walked around the gates, the walls of of Jericho 7 times. One time a day for 7 days, and on the seventh day, well, one time a day for 6 days, and on the seventh day, they walked around 7 times. And then they blew their horn. That's how they won the war. So people are looking for a war plan that's going to involve murder and mayhem, but we don't need that. All we need to do is all we need to do is a little sacrifice, which is the walking around, and then we have to shout to celebrate. So we're doing both at the same time, which is also really, really interesting. Like, by having one group of people feasting while one group of people is fasting, it's really preventing there's no like room for the enemy to escape, because if he tries to mess with y'all are fasting. The enemy, the deceiver, is not supposed to mess with anybody who's fasting. So if they try to come and mess with us, the deceiver is not supposed to mess with anybody who's feasting. Those are the 2 times when the deceiver is basically on timeout. And so for the entire Christmas season, we're putting him on timeout. That's how we
Wow.
win.
Checkmate.
I know, right?
Checkmate.
It's very esoteric, man. It's like people think this stuff is like, it's really simple though.
Yeah, this
Like,
is not, it's
it's
yeah,
not
yeah. Well, I mean,
hard.
to the thing is though, to get to this conclusion is insane. Like that, like, like how
Yeah.
you arrived at
Mhm.
this is just like I mean, I'm just like, yep, whatever you say, whatever.
Yeah, I couldn't. I won't even go into detail about jumping between the different scriptures, like trying to figure out like this whole story with David, because they have different parts. They split the story up. So I'm like, it mentions. I was looking at Chronicles for where he those different gods told him that they were, gave him the option of killing all these people or whatever, and I was trying to figure out why um Yahweh was upset at him. And it turns out that it's from something that happened all the way back in like Second Samuel, which is 3 books before First Chronicles. And it was because when David was in the wilderness with the people who followed him, the people of Ammon showed him mercy. They were nice to him. So fast forward back to Chronicles, the king of Ammon died, and David sent mourners to his son, like to mourn, because I guess that's what they did. They mourned with you, like they comforted you or whatever. And his advisor was like, they're not here to mourn with you, they're here to spy on you and all of this stuff. And so, because David was kind, Satan basically came to tempt him as a result of kindness that he was shown like 3 books earlier. Like these stories are nuts. I mean, totally insane. So yeah, coming to these conclusions is like, I was like, my head hurts. Like, I don't even like, and not from a headache today either. It's literally like, how do you even put this? This is not even 2 plus 2. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
even know
definitely
what this
breaking the
is.
laws of math. So I mean,
That's what it feels like.
it seems like this is in many ways like the climax of the war, because as we've
Yeah.
seen, the opponent or the other side like is badly beaten. They're down bad. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do some sort of counterattack, which is not even really possible because they can't even orchestrate to get, like, they can't even get their plan of attack in order because they're just retreating. And then in order to like solidify the win of the war, because as you said, like, this is for the spoils, like this is a
Right.
banker war. In order to be able to receive the spoils to set up the bank, we're doing this spiritual operation to seal the deal. Now, at least from what I'm feeling, that's going to bring about is as you said, is going to enable you to get into that abundant state as the banker. And as that shift takes place, I mean, what I'm assuming happens then is like, it's like almost out of nowhere, just things start to work out in the physical material world, and not just work out a little
Right.
bit, but like just start going nuts.
Yeah, it should, because it's not like I haven't done the work. So also on the side of the banker, I've been doing the work. Like, this is why I keep saying, like,